Hello, I'm Carolyn or Carrie Lidner, and this is my case study number 1. So this is my little buddy. He's currently 4 years and 10 months old. He's a male diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. He was diagnosed right around 3 years old by his developmental pediatrician, who referred him to ABA services due to language delays, limited attention and eye contact, challenging behaviors, and then stereotypic behaviors. He showed other delays as well, such as very limited motor imitation, really no spontaneous vocalizations, and no independent skills. But these were the main areas noted. He then began ABA speech and OT at the age of 3, right after this evaluation, but then he began with us at the age of 3.5. As you can see in this picture, he has acute hyperfixation on skeletons, bones, and fossils. He can name almost every bone for you. He can build a skeleton. It's very cute, and it's good reinforcement for him. So I wanted to share that picture. But the main focus is his primary behaviors of concern. I noted 2. The first one is his self-injurious behaviors, specifically throwing himself against a wall and then hitting himself with his hands. The second one is aggression towards others, specifically kicking, hitting, and biting others, usually adults, but sometimes his peers as well. Now we can get into the definitions and functions of these behaviors. So the first one is his SIBs, the definition being any successful or blocked action of the client that would cause physical harm to himself from the use of his own hands, feet, or other objects. Examples of this would include him intentionally running into a wall, banging his head on the floor, or hitting himself in the stomach with his hands. Again, all of this being intentionally. Non-examples of this behavior would include him tripping over a chair and falling on the floor, or him swatting a bug off of his arm. We used both direct and indirect assessments to identify the functions of his behavior. So we had parent interviews, we collected ABC data, we collected frequency and duration data. So we did a bunch of different assessments to come up with 2 specific functions: escape and access to tangibles. The second behavior is aggression towards others, with the definition being any instance where the client intends to or does physically cause harm to another individual by using his own body or other objects. Examples of this would include hitting, kicking, biting, or throwing objects at a peer or an adult. Again, this client typically is aggressive towards adults, but does do it towards peers as well. Non-examples includes throwing a ball at an adult while playing catch or giving someone a high five. With the same assessments used with the SIBs, functions were identified as escape and access to tangibles. The chosen assessment for this client was the ABLES-R, which is the Basic Learning and Language Skills Assessment Revised. His initial assessment was done on February 8th, 2023. He was 3 years, 7 months old. This was right before he started in our program. Again, he was getting ABA previously. Parents weren't very happy with, the agency. It was in-home. They wanted something a little more intensive. So we evaluated him on this date. We picked ABLES because it allowed for a little more naturalistic assessment. This kiddo came in and he didn't have much, DTT in him. He wasn't able to really sit at a desk. He wasn't really able to sit in front of you anywhere and, have a demand placed on him. So we kind of wanted to assess his skills and follow his lead in more of a natural environment. So ABLES allowed us to do that. And it didn't follow such a strict, criterion-based assessment like VB-MAP would have, for instance. Another reason we picked ABLES was because we really wanted to identify what obstacle was preventing this client from acquiring new skills. His parents really stressed to us that they felt he had a lot of potential in him, but there was something holding him back. So we really wanted to see, what that was. And we felt, ABLES was a good way to do that because it could help bridge that gap. Another big reason why we chose ABLES was because parents really wanted to know what specific skills their child was missing. And, we could compare it to a kiddo his age level. We could tell them, your 3-year-old son should be at this level, let's compare it based on the grid. And then they also wanted to know what the overall goals would be based on his missing skills. And since Abel's, has the feature that they could help develop goals, we thought this would be helpful for this specific client. In addition to that, his developmental pediatrician was very involved, and his insurance plan was highly intensive and required highly specific treatment goals, so we thought Abel's was just a good fit for him. We conduct after his initial assessment done on February 8th, 2 reevaluations were conducted using Abel's R. The first one on August 10th, 2023, and the most recent one was done on February 12th, 2024. So now I will go to those assessment results. This is the first grid. The blue is his first assessment, orange is his second, and green is his most recent. So you see here, the blue is where he came in. He really had no receptive language, no imitation, no interverbals, really nothing. Orange, you could see it build up a little bit, and green, you could see it really, flourished. You could tell that we really started implementing more interventions between this time, and we really were able to bridge that gap for him and help him start building more skills. The next part of the grid, you could see as well, is blue, then orange, then green. He starts to build up more skills, more independence, more social here. And then again, the third part of the grid, you could just see him continue to build, throughout this past year and a half even. So yeah, as of now, he's doing great. He's in a social environment, he's happy, he's engaging in, not as many behaviors, still some, but we have interventions in place to help this little boy, and he's broken out of his shell. He's flourishing. He's doing amazing. So thank you.